Hello and welcome to the Cherish Ball Champions interviews. My name is Spades doing another one. And joining me today we have YoMomOnToast. How are you doing?
I'm awful. I lost the Nuzlocke I was talking about in Cherish Lounge, but I'll get over it.
You can't be forgiven for that, you know. We're gonna have to hold that against you. Losing
It gets
Nuzlocks.
worse. It was randomized and I had huge power for alligator and I still lost.
Oh, wow. That's okay.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Losing that sucks. That's a good one though. Huge power
Yeah,
for
it was good.
alligator.
It was
That would
so
like
good.
be playable.
It yeah, I went into the champion and I had like type themes on and they had a Garchomp which just one hit it, which was surprising. But
Hmm.
I was like, no, I can come back from this and then they had two Sandstream Gliscors,
Hmm.
which is just not fair.
Yeah,
But here we are.
that's pretty good. So, all right, why don't we jump into it? If you want to introduce yourself, where you're from, and what you do for a living.
I feel like you put that what I do for a living thing on purpose because I know I told you I don't have a job.
I have that. I had that. Like, I kind of made this list without seeing who was gonna sign up first. So,
Yeah, okay, fair. Um, um, my name in real life is Keelan. I think everyone just mostly knows me as Toast. Um, I am going to be in this division because I won the last ever Great Ball. I am from Birmingham in England, and I am a bartender that currently doesn't have a job because I'm going back to school and I'm absolutely milking my vacation time.
what are you going back to school for?
I'm going to be doing psychology of education.
Oh, that's really cool.
Um, yeah, I've worked with kids before. It's what I've wanted to do my entire life. I actually worked in America for 3 summers. Like I worked with kids at summer camp, which was pretty cool. It was actually the first real job I ever had, so that was interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Is it
Uh,
four? I'm guessing like a 4 year school, or what? What do you have to go for it?
three is standard here, to be fair.
Oh, three. Interesting.
Yeah, three is standard. Yeah.
That's
So yeah, I'll be
cool.
doing that for 3 years, and then hopefully doing something that goes into schools and helping kids who are maybe a bit less fortunate than myself and a lot of other people, and hopefully doing anything that's not teaching.
Don't want to teach, but yes,
No.
helping children, helping the youth is one of the greatest things I think you could do right now. It's very impactful for not only their future but the future of the world around them. So
Yeah.
very
I
very
like to think
cool
so.
that you're diving into that psychology.
Thank you. It's a hellhole. I can't wait.
All right, so how did you get into Pokemon in general slash competitive Pokemon?
Um, oh, that's a tough question. So Pokemon, the original Pokemon Red was the not only the first video game I ever played, but the first video game I ever finished. So it was the first thing that I ever played, I think when I was 3 years old on my brother's Game Boy. I had no idea what was going on, but I thought I was amazing because I was murdering level 3 Zubats with a level 90 Dragonite. Um, I got into, oh God, when did I get into competitive? I think I messed around with Showdown a lot when probably Gen 6. Nothing serious, and then I actually ended up buying a Switch at some point for some random reason, and then knowing that Gen 8 was coming out, that was when I first played like Wi-Fi competitive, and then I actually got into Draft after watching um Wolfglick play a singles draft, then realized that doubles was a thing, and then I went out of my way looking for a draft league, and my first draft league was actually the first season of Orcs Waves like own service draft. So that was how I got into that. And
Wait, so your first ever draft was auction?
no, no, because season one of that wasn't auction.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. I was gonna say
It was yeah, it was tiered.
that's a weird one to start on. Like
Yeah,
if your
auction would be
first
weird.
draft is auction, I feel bad for you.
No, no,
Because
no,
you
no.
have no
It was
clue
tears.
how good anything is, and you're just going in there like just spending your money.
Yeah, that shit is terrifying. I'm still awful at it. I'm not a good drafter in general, to be honest. But auction, I'm just awful at. I always commit too late.
Mm. Okay, and there's auction is definitely its own breed, but it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
I
it's fun in a different way.
yeah. All right, so this leads to actually it leads right into the next question. How did you find out about the that merger server? What was it called? ADL, I think.
I think. Yeah, yeah. At first it was oh, it was always ADL. At first it was Amateur Draft League, and then it became
Auction.
Auction Draft League.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually I think Orxo put a thing on Reddit, and I think I just answered it, and then he messaged me on Discord and was like, "Hi, like here's the link. Join whenever you feel like it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then I joined, and I think I was actually one of the last ones to join for like the first season. So we got into the
Hmm.
draft pretty quickly, and like I was still working behind a bar at that point, and I'd just become a supervisor. So like I just got into management, and I was like fully just abusing every amount of time that I had at work, just like checking draft because I was like so excited, and like I took this really it was a weird draft in general because it was season five, I think the first one before DLC.
So that's the first one before DLC.
Yeah, so
So that would be Series 5 was DLC. So it's
oh yeah,
before
no,
that.
no, it's the first one after because I took Rillaboom, and I wouldn't have taken it if it didn't have
Okay, so
Grassy
it was
Glide.
before Crown Tundra, so it was Series 5 then.
Yeah, yeah, it was Series 5.
Okay, but it had
So
it
yeah,
had
that was
Isle
the
of
first
Armor
season.
though, which was I think a really good addition to the game, and then Crown Tundra was no.
Yeah, I, I I think I like a lot of the mons that came into it, but I really liked from like a competitive point of view in terms of like regular VGC and draft. I just think that like season five was like a really really like sweet spot of stuff that was really interesting. Like if I tried to take the draft that I took then into something like now with like restricted formats and stuff, like it just wouldn't
Hmm.
work. And I think I had like a lot of interesting mons in that will like I think I appreciate a lot more and like a lot more now because of that initial draft. Like I got to the final in like in the first season of that, and obviously that was my first ever draft, so like I was really happy with that. And so yeah, like a lot of those mons I've got like a bit of a soft spot for now.
Now I'm gonna ask the question because you mentioned it. What are those mods?
The ones that spring to mind, well, I've always loved Rillaboom. Let's from
Hmm.
the get-go been my favorite fully evolved starter from Gen 8. But in terms of a competitive use, like it took it a step further with that. Anyone that was in that first season of that server will know that the Clawitzer that I took that year was infamous.
Oh,
The
really?
Jolteon, yeah, the Jolteon was big too, and Salazzle too.
I
I
want to
love
know more
Salazzle.
about this Clawitzer. How did it
I
become
th
infamous?
well, I think I took it like every single week, and I think the first 2 or 3 weeks of regular season, I just didn't even like use it, and then every one after that, I think I went AV. Um, and was looking to one hit anything and just tank a single hit from something like if it was an electric type I'd be going AV in and like if it was like a special attack so like attacker like max speed F AV probably a bit of HP and then just smashing it with like one hit and it just became really awkward to deal with and everyone just got used to this like thing being able to tank a hit and then just absolutely blow someone up because that's what the meta was at the time there wasn't as many
Hmm.
like tanky mons that were available because there wasn't as many mons in general. And then I think it was semi-finals. I played against Prince, and he was like ready for every single thing that everyone thought Clawitzer would be able to one shot. And then I didn't just attempt it, and I just took heal pulls and just absolutely would not let my Rillaboom die. And then just he had to watch my Rillaboom murder everything. So yeah, that
Did
was
you what did you finish that season? You made the semis, you said.
I made the final last in the final.
Who did you lose to in the final?
I lost to Gabs.
Ah,
Brazilian king,
God,
who
I miss
actually,
Gabs.
yeah, so who actually since that every season that I've played that he's played as well, like we've been like we've scrimmed together and we've done like mocks together like so much
Hmm.
just because of playing in that final together, which is really cool. And yeah,
Yeah, and then losing in the final, I guess. How did that
oh,
impact
uh,
your mentality going into future seasons? I would say of that league and just other leagues in general.
I think like I went into it and thought, shit, like I can actually do this. Like I think I'm a bit better than I realized. Like drafting is like a completely different animal to like regular VGC, and I think like the actual draft itself wasn't the best. But I think I've always been good at like planning ahead and like I can sort of pull things out that people aren't expecting and make them work. So I
Hmm.
think like I kind of went in with like this determined mindset that I needed to win something, and like I think I played the next season and didn't do that great and was like really disappointed. So eventually like when I ended up playing in Great Ball for the first time and winning that, that was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and actually, I think that's the next segment is to talk about your great ball team. So why don't we go ahead and jump to that while you mention it? Ta-da! Look at that.
Yeah,
I learned
so
OBS, guys. We did
it's
it.
I
So yeah,
think
let's talk about this team. The format, the division in general, the players, the individual pieces. Just throw your thoughts onto a platter and serve it to me like you were the bartender.
so I think I, I wouldn't I can't remember what it was and I wouldn't know how to access it, but I think one of the most important things to look at this with this would actually be where my draft like started, like what it was originally,
Hmm.
because I thought I'd hit certain things that were like stronger aspects. So I think I had Gudra initially, which just did not work out in the ways that I wanted it to. And actually started really poor that season, and the entire season just turned around when I took Dracovish and Scyther. Um, I think every single game that I took it, I think Dracovish was top killer. Um, obviously didn't intend it when I initially drafted it, but
Hmm. Just I guess
I'd
for
already
before we get further, those you don't know, season 5 Great Ball was series 10, no restricteds, so there was
yeah.
no Dynamax, but it had everything post Crown Tundra. So when you see like when he says Dracovish was his kill leader, nothing could max. So Vicious Rend was just
Murderous.
one
Yeah,
hit
it's
KO.
I think like if you look at it as well, so I played against Sick in the final, and he'd actually other than me, he'd gone completely like unbeaten the entire season. His one match before that he'd actually lost was me as well, so I went in with like quite a lot of confidence. But for the entire season and like stayed that way, his the kill leader for the season was his Tapu Fini.
Hmm.
Like he knows how to use that thing. Like it was a monster. But Dracovish actually nearly caught up to it, and I think absolutely destroyed um like KD leaderboards.
I was
But
gonna say destroying Feeney too. Bandfish is a two shot on Feeney, by the way.
it's ridiculous.
It's
But
so strong.
it was like running away with the kill leader, and my Dracovish missed like the first like 4 maybe 5 weeks, something like that. Maybe no, 3 or 4 I think. And it nearly caught up to the finish. So yeah, that
Hmm.
thing was a monster.
So yeah, definitely
Um,
Dracovish, the MVP of the team. I guess post when you
100%.
traded for it.
Yeah, yeah. Everything that I'd had before just didn't fit. I think there were certain aspects of it that didn't work out the way I'd hoped. I needed a 1 point mon and I took Trapinch because it had such a high base attack, and I was hoping that maybe like again it could like tank one hit like similar to the Clawitzer sort of idea, and maybe if I took it banded like it could absolutely rail something into the ground. But like it's the kind of thing that I'd never do without calcing it beforehand, and
Hmm.
I did a lot of Trapinch calcs throughout the entire season, and it just never came through.
Trapinch is on like the leaderboard for most number of like Cherish balls, and I don't think it's been
Wait,
brought
what?
to a single game.
That's
There
ridiculous.
are 4 teams that had Trapinch, and it came to no games.
I think people must be like just fall into the same pit that I did. Like, you just see that base attack and think, I can use this somehow, and then you just realize, like, you calc things that just doesn't
Yeah,
work.
but one one that is on top currently, at least the time of this recording. Talk to me about Comfey.
Comfey is, um, Comfey is just interesting. I think, I think to deal with Comfey, you have to have a lot of, you have to have a lot of general like knowledge. You have to have a lot of, um, matchup based knowledge, and you actually need to have a lot of numerical knowledge because people do not realize how bulky that thing is. It is ridiculous. Then paired with triage, like it's just an issue. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously it's not the same because it's healing versus uh I can't think of the word but it's a bit like a prankster mon in the
Yeah,
sense
it's
that
not Prankster.
it's triage is healing and prankster is not status.
Prankster
What's
status, yeah.
yeah, it's their status moves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it gives like a similar dynamic that you know, yeah, it comes into the field and there's no way to specifically or consistently like speed control versus that thing.
You can't even really fake it out because triage hits the same speed, like the
Yeah, yeah.
speed
I
tier
I,
as.
I think that helped me a lot because I took Moltres G for obvious reasons.
Yeah, like
And
Moltres G Comfey is what you would think of as like a really solid core for a Dynamax meta, and seeing
yeah,
it work in a non-Dynamax meta is truly
yeah,
great.
I tended to take it quite bulky.
Hmm.
I remember before like I took Comfey just because I loved it and I like the draft span back around and it came back to me and Moltres was still up and I just thought like I couldn't decide like is this going to be too much damage in a non-Dynamax meta? Like am I going to struggle? Like am I just shooting myself in the foot? And I think it was also over again that I messaged and was like what's your opinion on this? Like am I being too ballsy here? And I think he's just like nah, screw it, do it. Like that thing can take hits. Like
Hmm.
I think a lot of the time, like I took not a lot of special attack EVs at all, and I tended to just give it loads of HP, loads of SPDF, and just look for Berserk procs over and over again. Like
Hmm.
let people drop me to 50, bringing it back up with Comfey, and like you said, like the triage is the same priority is fake out, which I think a lot of people don't know, and I think that won me a lot of games because they were thinking that oh, just take a fake out mon and then like focus the
Hmm.
Moltres, and yeah, that doesn't work. That's all.
Yeah, and I like how your team is very like has so many different ways to go about it. You said about being bulkier, and Grimmsnarl is a great way to solidify that bulk with
Yeah,
the
100%.
screens and Spirit Break. You also have the nice speed control with Crobat and Comfey. But none of those mons we've talked about were your finals MVP. And the world needs to know who the finals MVP was of Great Ball.
The Finals MVP without question was Grookey. No, not even close. I
For those that haven't seen it, I will dig up the replays. Well, actually, they're not that hard to dig up. I know where they're at. But
I don't know.
whenever you look at this team and think, okay, I know the threats are Dracovish, Moltres, Heatran, Crobat, and like Grimmsnarl. But the finals MVP and the one that actually I think you absolutely needed for that matchup
Oh God, yeah,
was Grookey
yeah,
because it was
100%.
against who you talked about earlier, Sick. He replayed him in the
Yeah,
finals, and his Feeny was basically going crazy the entire season.
he I can't think of what he did off the top of my head, but he came up with a very he dealt with the Dracovish like brilliantly, and I very much had to like Pepe steer my way through that final. Like it did not go to my plan at all. It wasn't even close. I don't remember what I planned to do, to be honest.
Well,
But
I just remember he was setting up and Crobat was hazing away all those stat boosts, and
that was
then
it.
your main damage to Tapu Fini was Grookey.
I think most of the damage in general was Grookey.
It was nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Crobat was like a really solid pick for me as well.
Hmm.
Um I think I might have I don't think I drafted that initially either. I think I really I think it was you that pointed out in PRs that season that I didn't have significant speed control, and like I was just like, nah, screw it, he's right. And I think someone might have dropped it because I think I wanted it initially, and someone picked it up before me. And I think I went back to it, and I think that's again like another part of how I sort of turned around a really poor start.
Yeah, and it's a great mod in Nomax from
Oh yeah,
myself. I
100%.
have used it quite a bit myself in the format, so I'm a big fan of the bat, and you used it very well in this team. It was a lot of fun watching you play this team. You did a lot of interesting things. The Grookey obviously is going to be the one I remember the most because it was a Grookey. But what was your favorite Grimmsnarl set?
I think you
I
know
know the
which my
answer. I know
favorite.
the answer, but I just want you to talk about it because it's awesome.
I can't remember who it was. I can't even remember what round it was. I think it was a knockout. I think it was. I think I had a. I think I skipped. I think I started in. No, it was quarter. I think it was quarters. And I was starting to realize that like just the way from you watch each other's games, you get a gist of how other people play, and like I said before, like I like to screw around. I like to mess with people. I like to cause panic. Like so, I think people were starting to realize that, and talking about some of the sets that I'd done, and like people talk about who they've played against, like, it's a back and forth. And I think I'd started to get a bit of that reputation going. And Grimmsnarl was like a big part of that because like pretty obvious, like it's prankster, it's screens, it's fake out, it's Thunderwave, it's scary face, so general like speed control, it's spirit break, it adds to general tankiness of your team. So I just decided that it was time to completely flip that on its head. Send it out with Compe first, which is something I usually do with Moltres. I think turn one, I protected on the Grimmsnarl because I knew they'd focus it and use Trick Room on Compe. And I'd actually taken Pickpocket and Weakness Policy on the Grimmsnarl and obviously Triage and Citrus Berry on the Comfey. So I'd actually Draining Kiss with the priority. It would proc the Weakness Policy. Uh, Then having dropped the item, the pickpocket would take the citrus berries. So even if it crit, I'd have health.
Hmm.
And then I swept with max attack, Brave Grimmsnarl.
It's so beautiful when it works. Like Grimmsnarl is one of those draft mons that I want to get my hands on because of what like you have all those support sets, but then you can whip up
It's
something
like a
like
truck.
that. It has
One 20?
125, 120 something. Yeah, something around there. Like attack. That's not nothing. Like that's
Yeah,
more than most
it's
attackers.
significant. It's 120, yeah.
So,
Yeah, like yeah, it's why I like it, and like it's a mon that I've used a lot in general VGC like play.
mhm.
Obviously as a prankster user, like it is better as that, but that's what draft is about. It's about the unpredictability and like
Mhm.
planning ahead and like getting around other people's plans and stuff like that. Like, and realistically, like, obviously, like they know what they're doing when they design these mons. They gave it pranks, so they know what they were going to do when they gave it its moveset.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, its attack stat is its highest stat,
Yes, definitely.
I believe. Yeah, by a considerable amount actually. Its second highest is actually special attack. That's weird. Uh,
Yeah,
Special attack and
defenses
HP are
aren't
both
actually that
95.
good despite it being known as like a bulky mon in current VGC. So,
Yeah, it's because most people tend to go like max HP, split the split F and
mhm.
defense down the middle,
And then you have a
usually a bit
screen,
more
and then
towards
you're
the defense,
bulky enough.
and then screens, and suddenly it's like you've like when you're like halving that damage and
Hmm.
you've got max HP and
And
max EVs
you
in
don't have
defense.
to invest anything into attack because it's already doing enough.
It's so high.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a really good mon for this.
I mean, you got to think about what you compare it to as well, especially in the meta that it was in. Like, you take something else that's like, considered a hard hitter like Scissor. It's like Scissor is not the best mod in the world, but like it hits hard. It's a 130 base attack. That thing hits like a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Grimsnarl is only 10 base attack below that,
Yeah.
with probably, less defensive stats, but a significant amount more of HP as well. So probably about the same bulk, and it comes with screens.
Yeah, so it's just like a nice Swiss Army knife.
Yeah,
Although it's
100%.
mostly used on the knife setting, you don't typically
Yeah,
bring out the corkscrew or the
yeah,
screwdriver or the scissors. But once you do, you can catch a lot of people off
yeah,
guard and you can do a lot of
yeah,
damage with it.
100%.
All right. So, what did winning Great Ball mean to you?
I'd say that Great Ball, me winning Great Ball meant a very sad amount to me, to be quite honest. Um, I was like sweating and shaking before that game. Like, every time I'd get to a knockout game, I'm thinking I can't lose another final. Like, I can't do that again. I hated that. And like my girlfriend knows absolutely nothing about Pokemon. Like, she's not into it at all, and like she just listens to me waffle about Great Ball. And like I just got up and started fucking jumping around and cheering because I'd fucking won, and she was like, "Shut up." Like, get out.
So you were
Yeah,
so
I,
happy, and she was
I
like,
was
"I'm
really
doing
excited.
something. Go away."
I'm really glad you're happy, but like, shut the fuck up.
It's like, "Yay, woo!"
Yeah, I was really excited. I really enjoyed it. It's I think it's like anything. Like, I think you only get as much as you give out of something, and I felt like I'd given a lot, so to win it like meant a lot, and it like reassures you a lot.
It's really nice to see like the work you put in, like, and then see it pay off. Like you put
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
like I think your mid-season trades, which basically said, "All right, I'm taking a risk. I need to go for this shot," and seeing those pay off is a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's go ahead and move back to the main scene as we close this out. I have one final question for you.
Okay.
Entering into the Cherish Ball division, what are you most excited for?
Chaos.
Wait, what?
Chaos.
Chaos.
I
Um,
don't- I think a lot of people are probably going to go in with similar mindsets to me. Like, you can't go into this and expect to win. Like, no one here is a bad player. We've all like won divisions. Like, I I I think it's about, causing that chaos, making something entertaining for those that are watching. I think it's about enjoying it yourself, and
mhm.
you just got to see where it takes you. Maybe I'll get to the final. Maybe I won't make playoffs. Like, who knows? But I'll probably have a weakness policy Grimmsnarl in there somewhere.
Oh no! Don't do that to me,
No,
please.
please no.
Yeah,
If I
it's gonna be real fun to play in a division
yeah,
where
100%.
it's not just like, hey, you want to play in this? Like we just go to somebody random and say you want to play here, or like have open signups. I think it being an invitational draft
Yeah,
division
it's interesting. It's a
is
new dynamic.
yeah, I think it's gonna be a whole lot better, like experience wise. I don't know if you what your thoughts are of like playing in an invitational draft division instead of like an open one.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever done that. So
So yeah, neither
something
have I. This will
something
be
new.
exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm genuinely really looking forward to it. I haven't
Hmm.
I haven't played drafts in a while as well, actually. So I think I need to get back on that ladder and get warm.
Gotta
Think I'm
get warm back up.
yeah, I think I'm a bit stiff. Think I'm a bit in the mud still. Haven't been playing a lot recently.
Just
I
got.
can't go into a new season like that.
I mean, yeah, gotta warm back up. Gotta use more pickpocket Grimmsnarl and Grookey, of course. Can't forget that.
I'm drafting that thing first.
Round one Grookey in the most competitive division ever to
Yep,
exist in SCDA.
and I'm taking band on it every game.
Beautiful. All right, that is going to close out the interview. It was a very, very fun session with you. I'm glad that we got to do this, and
Yeah.
it's nice to like kind of sit down with people and talk to them because you don't typically like do that
Yeah,
in
I think
these
it's a
type
new
of servers.
aspect as well to the build up to a season, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually, whenever I thought of this idea, I was extremely pumped because I was like, wow, I get to talk to all of these people for like a session just one on one.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely cool.
yeah, it just too much overwhelming. So I hope you had an interesting time with this
Yeah,
interview.
definitely.
I had a lot of fun, and best of luck in the Cherish Ball division. As
Thank you,
I
sir.
start dropping things about it, the tier list will come out today, hopefully. But all right, so that is going to do it then for the interview with Yo Mom on Toast. My name is Spades. I'm going to check out Toast. Any final words?
Um, get ready to get fucked, noobs.
All right, so I hear Snipe Comfey and Snipe Grimsnarl before it gets to his turn.
Yeah, 100%.
Alrighty, and without further ado, that is, they sign off. Goodbye, people.